Happy Black History Month. Welcome back to the third episode of Real Life with Ty. If you're new here, my name is Ty, the host. And for all my people coming back, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for all the love and support. I truly do appreciate it. Let's go ahead and get started.
You've got Ty on the line on her podcast. So what's on her mind? And for you now, you are listening to Ty on the line.
Being that it is Black History Month, I would like my spotlights to be geared towards African American men and women who has made an impact in this world. We all know the original OGs such as Maya Angelou, Oprah Winfrey, Barack Obama, Martin Luther King, and the list goes on. However, I want to just shed spotlight on people we haven't heard of. So, for example, Brandon Frame. Brandon Frame created the Black Man Can Inc. in 2010, which is a blog on Instagram to celebrate the achievements of men and boys of color. Since then, the Black Man Can has evolved into a series of programs, workshops, and social media campaigns. They are an award-winning nonprofit organization and has been seen on CBS, BET, and ABC. With the education he received at Morris College, Brandon has applied his passion for business and education towards the goal of creating concrete avenues for youth to develop into positive and upstanding men and women. His organization, The Black Man Can, is an oasis of resources for both African American and global communities. In the 7 years, the organization has gained international following and endeavors for change and promote a positive narrative of Black lives. They have a network of over 200 mentors and has impacted over 3,500 young men. They have traveled to several communities such as Atlanta, Georgia, New York City, and many more to uplift education and inspire young men of color. Now, I did go ahead and check out their Instagram, The Black Man Can, as well as their website, theblackmancan.org. And I was really impressed by all of the work that Brandon has done in this 7 years time frame. It's really awesome that we have people out there in the world who are making such an impact and such a difference in our community, especially in the community of Black men, with everything that we have seen transpire over the last couple of years in the media with them. So huge spotlight goes out to Brandon, and thank you so much for your work and everything that you have done. It is super awesome. And like I stated before, you guys can check them out on Instagram at The Black Man Can and their website, theblackmancan.org. Darling, fetch me my teacup. This week, I was drinking green tea. I wasn't drinking it for the flavor, but more so for the benefits. Green tea contains bioactive compounds that improve health, increases fat burning, and also improves physical performance. There's antioxidants in green tea that may lower the risk of some cancers, such as breast cancer and prostate cancer. I only needed one tea bag, and I mixed it with a little bit of honey. That's just to list some of the many benefits of green tea. It's one of those original green teas that everybody kind of goes back to, or people drink it like every day. So this week episode, we are going to talk about self-love. I'm telling you guys, it took me a very long time to record this episode because honestly, I was embarrassed. Like, I'm embarrassed to admit that at some point I didn't love myself fully, or I didn't appreciate myself or value myself in the way that I should. So it was just hard for me to record this episode. But like I told you guys in the very first episode, I always want to keep it real with you guys and, be honest and be open. That's the whole purpose of this. So we're just going to go ahead and get started. If I sound super nervous, it's because I am, and I do want to apologize for that, but it's just a tough topic. So for my Haitians out there, we know that growing up in a Haitian household, for me, I was never really taught self-love. We didn't talk about self-care and what it meant to truly be happy with yourself, especially in our culture or any Caribbean culture, I believe. The woman's job is to be there for the man, to cook for him, to clean for him, to do everything that they're supposed to do for him. And they never really talk about their feelings. Like, as women, I've never really seen my mom go to my dad and say, hey, this hurt me, or this hurt my feelings. It was more so like they suppress their feelings and continue to go on with whatever it was that was happening. Haitians don't really talk. I don't know how it is for other Caribbean cultures, so I can't really speak for them. But I feel like we don't really talk about these things, and then we experience it later on in life and trying to figure it out through, relationships, especially because, you couldn't tell your mother you had a boyfriend. You couldn't tell your father you had a boyfriend. You know, with them, it's always an issue. It's us trying to be an adult or us trying to grow up too fast. When in reality, these are conversations that we need to have. I'm not saying like super young, but while we're growing up, so that way we can become better and be better in relationships. I was in a 4-year relationship. And I can admit that we were both young. There was a lot of things that happened on both ends that made the relationship unhealthy and toxic. But this person really loved me unconditionally. Like, this person paid attention to every detail about me, and they knew me like no one else did. And that was really big for me because I never experienced that. So, of course, with the good came the bad. And finally, I just couldn't take it anymore. So I decided to leave. During our breakup, I did meet someone new and we just clicked. But to be completely honest, I wasn't looking for anyone. It just kind of happened. I was still more so, you know, when you're in that time frame when you just got out of a relationship, you're not really looking for anything, but in the back of your mind, even though you know that that person is no good for you, you're kind of hoping that they will come around and you guys will work it out, especially after 4 years. Being young, for me, 4 years was forever. And I felt like I spent so much time and invested so much into this relationship that it was hard for me to believe that it really wasn't going to work out. Nonetheless, I did get into a new relationship. You know, things kind of happened and we just clicked. You ever just meet somebody and everything just happens naturally? There's no forcing, there's no awkwardness. It just kind of happened. And next thing you know, we're together. Now, but there was a lot of things that was irritating me about him. It may be the littlest things, like I would call him, he wouldn't answer, or I would text him, he wouldn't text me back. Like, the smallest things used to really make me mad and used to make me think like, okay, maybe he's cheating on me. Maybe he's doing this or maybe he's doing that. And it's not because he was really doing it, but it was because of the fact that I didn't fully deal with whatever I was going through in my previous relationship. I kind of suppressed it, especially when, you know, you go to work and you go to school and you're taking care of so much. You don't really have time to sit there and be in your feelings. So for me, I would suppress my feelings. If something was happening and I didn't want to be hurt, I didn't want to cry, I didn't want to feel those things, I would pour myself into work. I would pour myself into school. I would pour myself into every and anything else than to have to sit there and deal with my pain or deal with whatever it was that I was going through. Now, long story short, he got annoyed with me, which I completely understand. But I kind of had a crazy phase. You know how they say every girl has that phase? I feel like every girl has a crazy phase. Some of us never grow out of it. Let's be real. But I'm so embarrassed to admit this, guys. But I was pulling up on dude. I was calling him block. Like, I was really tripping. But it was because I was angry. And it wasn't that I was angry at him, but I was more so angry at everything that I didn't fully deal with. And, you know, we didn't work out. And now here I am having to deal with whatever happened in my 4-year relationship and having to deal with what was going on and why this relationship didn't work out. And that's how I was forced to love myself. It was then that I realized I had a lot of baggage. I had a lot of hurt and things that I didn't fully deal with from my 4-year relationship, and it kind of carried on into my new relationship. It was then I realized that I needed somebody to love me to feel complete. I needed somebody to tell me that I meant something to feel complete. I needed somebody to accept me and to tell me that they're going to be there for me, because I didn't like the feeling of being alone. I could not be alone. And it's sad to say it, but I couldn't be alone. I was afraid that being alone now meant that I would be alone forever. And I didn't want that. There was times that I was crying. There was times that I was so lonely. There was times that, you know, I went out just to go out so I wouldn't have to necessarily deal with it. But I didn't want to be that type of person anymore. I didn't want to be damaged. I didn't want to be another girl out here with a broken heart or have trust issues. And you know how sometimes girls will be like, oh, I'm heartless, I don't have no feelings, this, that, and the third. I just didn't want to be that type of person. So I started to spend time with myself. I mean, it wasn't easy. I decided to go on a fast. I went on a 90-day fast. I stopped drinking soda, stopped drinking juice. I stopped having sex. I stopped social media. I stopped listening to prerogative music. I just stopped anything that didn't necessarily make me feel good so that I can get in tune with who I am and what I wanted from this world and what I wanted from someone. I started to spend time with myself. I love going to the movies, so I started to go to the movies by myself. I started to go out to eat by myself. I started to become comfortable with the idea of being alone. I made peace with my past. I made peace with who I am, my insecurities, my flaws. I started to become comfortable with my body, comfortable with myself, comfortable with the capabilities, and build that confidence within myself, which is so important when it comes to self-love. You really do need to know who you are and make peace with the things that you have dealt with to become a better person. There is so much more to life than being in a relationship, and I'm not bashing relationships because I love love and I love the idea of being with someone, but there's so much more things that you can accomplish on your own, that being in a relationship does not have to be the highlight of your life or doesn't have to be the main thing that happens for you. Look at Oprah. Oprah was single for a very long time until she met somebody. And even to this day, Oprah is not married. But look at all of the things that she has been able to accomplish and all the things that she's been able to do in this time span because she had the confidence in herself alone prior to giving anyone else that power. And I just want to give my ladies a side note. We need to listen with the intent to understand and not the intent to change. A guy would say he isn't ready for a relationship, but we would hear he isn't ready for a relationship because he doesn't know what type of woman I am. We sometimes think we can love him into a relationship. We can go over and beyond for him to commit. We can give him boyfriend privileges with the hopes that he will come around. But the reality is that he won't. Let's be real. If your boss told you today you could stay home and you'll still get paid, will you go to work? I'm not going to work. Like, why would I go to work if I'm going to get paid regardless? I can stay home, do whatever I got to do, and I'm going to get paid. Of course I'm not showing up. And that's exactly what you're doing. You're giving him pay without him working. Stop waiting around for him to pick you and pick yourself. A man who truly loves you and wants to be a part of your life will show you. You have to love yourself enough and put yourself first to the point that if he doesn't, you can easily say, boy, bye. Boy, bye. You're not a liability. You're an asset. And don't let anyone love you like you aren't. You are the prize. You have the ball in your court. You are the one who decides whether you want him or not. It's not the other way around. Like I told you before, even recording this episode is tough for me to be able to admit at one point I felt those things. But there were so much things that I had to realize within myself. And thankfully, being a social worker, you learn a lot about psychology. You learn a lot about your family and how things that you experienced in your life transpired into relationships and the way that you are with people and the things that you allow people to do to you and the things that, you do to others. So with that, I was able to learn a lot about myself. And I think that it's important for us to know who we are before you get into a relationship. That's why some people are stuck in situations and are never happy because they aren't happy within yourself. You have to love yourself. If you don't love you, how do you expect someone else to know how to love you? Like I said, I'm not perfect and I'm still young and there's still a lot of things that I have yet to experience. But I love myself enough now to never settle. I know what I bring to the table. I know what type of woman I am. And I could walk away from someone with no hesitation if they aren't willing to love me, appreciate me, and value me the way that I deserve it. A lot of us, especially with Instagram and social media, we get so caught up in these pictures and these YouTube couples and all that stuff. Like, for somebody to love and appreciate you, it's so much more than that. And I'm telling you, once you get to that level, you will not settle. Once you get to the point that you know who you are, you know what you bring to the table, and you love yourself unconditionally, you will not allow somebody to treat you any less than you deserve. And it's important. And, especially for our Haitian culture, our mothers didn't really talk to us about things like that. They didn't really, sit down and have these type of conversations with us. And it's now that we are sitting here trying to have these conversations with our friends or our sisters or other people. If you don't have someone around you to help you, I'm telling you, read books. Books were my best friend about self-love, like about woman empowerment, about learning how to love yourself, about how to get yourself to that level. I did a lot of reading about it because I needed to be able to understand. You know, you have to love yourself unconditionally. But it's just that now it's a little different. So ladies, this week I challenge you to just take care of yourself. Go get a massage. Massage Envy actually is $55 if it's your first time. Go get your nails done. Go get your toes done. Go to the movies. Have a girls' night out. Take a day off if you work too much. Just do something for you. It's important to take care of yourself. And like I told you before, if you don't love you, how do you expect someone else to know how to? As always, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Real Life with Ty, or you can email me at reallifewithty@gmail.com. You know I'm always down to talk to you, so you can hit me up on Instagram, Twitter, or my email. And as always, thank you so much for listening and tuning in to Real Life with Ty. Holla.
You've got Ty on the line on her podcast. So what's on her mind? And for you now, you are listening to Ty on the line.